Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we add 2 billion new people to the planet, how are we going to be able to provide the basic infrastructure that they need, the food, the fuel, the fiber, and of course the energy that it's going to take to be able to run all the complex systems as we go from 7 to 9 billion people. We have a gentleman that's sitting right beside me that's actually been working on this notion and also developing the technologies for a number of years in renewable energy. This is Robert Bob Eaton, who is the Managing Director for Day and Night Solar, LLC, and Vice President of Lifeline Energy. Bob, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you this evening and share a little bit about what we do and how we're working into that puzzle that you just proposed.
No, I tell you, I think it's absolutely fantastic what you're doing, and also it's very interesting. We have your logo. Let's get the logo up here. I really like this logo. So tell us a little bit about Day and Night Solar, and then we're going to get into some of the technologies that you've actually developed and evolved.
Great. Well, Day and Night Solar really started in 2008 when the stimulus package hit the U.S. and saw that renewable energy is something that our country needs to be very much part of. So we started a small private company, Day and Night Solar, and the idea behind Day and Night, because we get asked night all the time, it was really to get people to think, how does the sun work at night? It's not necessarily that the sun works at night, it's how do we capture enough energy during the day to have the effect of it working at night. Maybe one day we'll have solar that works at night, but we're not quite there yet.
Well, ambient light anyway. But looking at this diagram here, tell us a little bit about really how does solar energy work and how do we convert that so that actually it can run a home or a business or water pumps or cell towers or any other use that needs energy?
Really what takes place is light energy. Many people have a solar calculator. We've all had one when we were growing up. That it's a simple, basic process of electrons. You've got monocrystalline or polycrystalline, and usually a chemical like boron. 5 electrons, 4 electrons. What happens is when the light touches those, they turn. That rotation of electrons produces the energy. It's a very simple process. It's just becoming more efficient that we're able to transfer that sun to that type of energy. Then becomes DC power, and DC power can be converted to AC. AC power is what most of our world runs on. Your house, your business, your computer, all those things are charged from AC.
Well, looking at this diagram here, just take us through the steps and what we're looking at from 1 to 5.
1 is your actual collectors. Those are the solar panels that collect the energy. 2 is the wiring that's going to come down into the inverter. It's going to convert that to AC energy. 3, and my picture is not quite as clear, but I'm sure that's probably the main power box, the main panel in your home. And the 4th picture is your utility, your meter that ties you to the grid. And obviously 5 is the utility company represented there.
Now, many of the residential and also in commercial now, people are actually producing electricity and it really is going into the grid. And this is something that most people don't realize, that they can actually have their own installation and they're contributing to the total power needs as far as the nation is concerned. So the reverse metering, what's that all about and how can a homeowner really benefit from that?
Well, how it is more commonly phrased as net metering, reverse metering, kind of interchangeable. Let's say that you are using 1,000 watts of energy, but you're producing 500. So half of what you're producing, you're consuming. Now let's say it's a Sunday afternoon before the football game starts, and you're not using much energy, and you're only using 200 watts. Well, you're making 5. So 300 watts are actually making your meter spin backwards. So you're actually supporting the grid during those time frames.
And this is something I know that you've been doing. This is actually one of your operations here. But looking at the collection of this, go again through this process about what is actually happening as far as taking the sun's energy, converting it, and then what is that doing? Of course, the next step is how is that improving the environment, reducing our dependency on fossil fuels?
Well, and there again, like in this project here, this is a fairly large roof system that runs about 70% of a large electrical contractor, his office, all of his lights, air conditioning, heating. So taking that sunlight again, and this is on what's called almost a flat roof, so it's very low, not a lot of slope to it. So people say, do you have to have 10 or 20 degrees? No, a flat roof will produce a little less than one that's tilted more south, but they all are turning that sunlight into energy all the same way. DC coming out of those panels, going to an AC bank of inverters, and feeding the main panels to that business. And if there's surplus energy, a lot of times on Saturday and Sunday, these businesses do get the reverse where they're actually selling back to the grid.
Bob, how is this actually helping the environment though? In other words, we're using this, we're converting a natural resource, which is the sun. It's going into the grid. So how is that actually helping the nation and really the globe as far as environmental quality is concerned?
Well, to try to put it in as simple terms, that I'm from Illinois. Okay, there's a lot of coal from southern Illinois.
Right.
Gotta guess I'd be a little careful what I say here. But the bottom line is, if it costs you $2.50 a watt to put together a 50 megawatt coal plant, okay? And for the same $2.50 a watt, you could put together a solar plant of the same size.
In other words, kind of like what we're looking at right here.
Exactly. The big difference is I don't have to feed it with coal every day. I get to feed it with the sun. So I think that is a parity that our country is now coming to. 5 years ago, it was not cost effective to put solar in on that scale, but it is today. And I think that's where a lot of people don't necessarily understand that we can generate electricity just as cost effectively.
Now, looking at this solar array that you have here, the cost of the solar panels have dropped tremendously. So looking at that, looking at both the commercial use and the homeowner, what are they looking at as far as an investment, what they would have now, and actually projecting into the future, because the cost of the solar panels is continuing to drop. It's becoming more competitive, it's more efficient, and at the same time we're not transporting fossil fuels all over the country or around the globe to produce this. We're using what's right here in nature, the sun.
Correct. And I think that when you look at the cost of panels, the cost of the inverters, the cost of mounting hardware, there's probably two things that I would tell people to really do your homework on. If you had a 70-year product, would you put that on a 30-year roof? And this is where I notice you have a picture of one of our canopies. Solar panels will last 60, 70 years if they're installed properly. So the value at maybe $3, $2.50 a watt, not only has the cost of panels come down, but the education in the installation market. So the panels are more cost effective, the inverters are more efficient, the cost of install has dropped. So now on a large scale, to be in the upper $2 range to the mid $3 a watt range for the everyday homeowner and businessman is very real, which means you can cost recover that 3, 4, 5 years, unless you're somewhere like Honolulu, where your cost of power is very expensive and you get your money back in less than a year.
Yeah.
So it's very effective today.
Well, looking at this, this is really a very nice looking installation. I'm going to hop over to this one because I've seen a number of these around where actually you're making carports with the solar panels. Tell us about that, and what is the benefit to people that are actually using, say, the hotel, the convention center where these have been installed, and also to the owner of that install himself?
We really have put a lot of effort into learning the canopies, the carports. Probably the other thing other than roof space we have in America is we have a lot of cars. We have a lot of parking space. So would you prefer to park in the sun or in the shade or out of the rain or out of the snow? And a lot of buildings, restaurants, small restaurants, they have no roof space. It's full of equipment. There's air conditioners, heaters, so they have nowhere to put it. So one, it's visual to their customers. Two, they're saving money. Three, that'll last 70 or 80 years, where membranes on a roof won't. So there's a lot of reasons to look at canopies, carports, physical structures. The next thing we're going to begin to work on is building integration, where it's really integrated into the building itself.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's very important. I know that they're doing this as far as the slide is concerned. But looking at this, I want to go back to this right here. Looking at a green roof. This is something that people are doing, and more and more in Washington, D.C. It's almost being demanded for new buildings with LEED design certification. But can you actually have the green roof where you have the natural grasses and other absorbing that water, but actually above that go ahead and put in the solar array at the same time?
Yes, we've seen some of those, and we kind of refer to those as more trellises. You may have seen some of the panels we use that are clear, that you can see through. Now they still have the cells, but you get about 30%, 35% of the light. You need plants that like shade, but grasses, various bushes. Now you've got a human canopy that's for shade, but it still will allow things to grow. A very good mix of green space and green energy.
Well, in doing that too, if you look at that, let's say that you had this green roof underneath this solar array right here, then you're actually filtering the water, you're reducing the velocity that's coming off these roofs during the storms, because as we know, these severe weather events are increasing all the time with climate change. And so if you can actually filter the water, you can slow down the velocity, you can remove some of the water and allow it to evaporate back into the sky, you're getting many benefits from this. So it's almost like a win-win-win-win situation.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Looking at this, going on over here, now tell us about this monster.
The Sun Commander. That's a series of products that we have: a small 1500, a 8000, and we're developing a much larger tractor trailer version. But this is a hybrid on-grid, off-grid portable generator. You can literally, the idea was to put portable power, and without going into a long story, I used to live by a dump, and every year I'd see it get bigger, not a tree on it. Boy, it'd be a great place for solar. So we've got into the idea of disaster recovery, of having units at a fire department or a
about
local.
15 seconds.
Okay, with that said,
what do you see for the future for day and night?
Day and night solar, our goal is to be a service provider to help companies get the solution, whether it's portable, on their roof, green top, whatever we can do to help make sustainable energy work for them.
Well, Bob Eaton, Managing Director of Day and Night Solar and Vice President of Lifeline Energy, thank you for being with us, and thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
There's more than just books at the library.
There's more than just books at the library.
Excuse me.
There's more than just books at the library.
Il n'y a plus que de livres à la bibliothèque.
Hello. You have a lot of great books here today. You know there's more than just books at the library.
I know.
There's more than just books at the library.
I don't want to be hooked to a machine.
I want all the medical treatment available to me.
I wouldn't want my family to have to make this decision.
My doctor knows what's best for me.
An advance directive is your life on your terms. Talk with your family. Decide what's right for you. Then put it in writing.
Documenting my wishes today means my family won't have to make heart-wrenching decisions later.
To learn more, visit www.putitinwriting.org.
1,200 American youth run away from their homes every day. The National Runaway Switchboard is here to help. 1-800-RUNAWAY. If you are a runaway, thinking about running away from home, or a parent or guardian concerned about issues facing your child, Call us 24 hours a day. 1-800-RUNAWAY. In times of crisis, hope is just a phone call away. 1-800.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States and looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And we're looking at the century that's very challenged with climate change. Also, as we're adding 2 billion new people to the planet, how we're going to be able to provide the energy, the water, the sanitation, education, healthcare, all the basic infrastructure that is needed, and to allow them to have an increased quality of life, not just to exist. Many people say the planet can't take 9 billion souls, but as we know, they're going to be here anyway. And so we have people that are actually working on this as far as how we're going to be able to accommodate these people and again to provide them with the highest quality style of life possible. We have two ladies that are going to be sharing with us. One is Michelle Lacossiere, who is Executive Director of Sirona Cares Foundation. She's coming in by Skype. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you.
And sitting right beside me is Melinda Crenshaw, who is the Executive Marketing Representative, that's a long title, of Day and Night Solar. And these two ladies work together very conveniently and doing good things both. But Michelle, first start off with Sirona, what you're doing, and then if you don't mind, Melinda, if you'll talk about Day and Night Solar, and then we'll talk about the interaction between the two of you, and also specifically, Michelle, about the exciting new systems that you have. So why don't you lead off?
Thank you very much for having me on the show. I would like to say that Sirona, the mission of our organization is to place the power to create, use, and sell alternative energy into the hands of the world's poorest people. We started with a biofuel program in Haiti, and through that I met many communities and got to know that if they didn't have energy access, things weren't going to change for them. And Sirona partnered with the IEEE to come up with a solution, and that solution is solar charging stations that are put in communities for households to get power very quickly.
Yeah, and we're going to show some of those because it's really ingenious the way that you've designed that. And thank you for sharing the photographs we're going to be looking at. And Melinda, I know that through some of these trade shows and other relationships that you actually met Michelle, and so you've been collaborating back and forth day and night. So tell us a little bit about Day and Night, and then we're going to get into specifically what Michelle's doing.
Okay. Day and Night Solar is a solar solution provider. So you're correct. Michelle and I met at a trade show in San Diego, and just speaking with her and spending time with her, became very interested in the product that she had. And really from a product standpoint of how can we help you, or what could we do to help your product line. And spending more time with Michelle, we began to collaborate on how the product could be distributed on a larger scale, and also to some of the individuals that Day and Night Solar has contacts with. So really from a product standpoint is the way I approach Michelle in the beginning.
That's fantastic. Michelle, looking at this photograph of the children working in a place like Haiti, which probably 85% of the people actually have no access to any kind of electrical power on a regular basis, and many people don't have it at all. What are you doing that's special, unique to actually allow people to have access to electrical energy?
The expensive part of providing electricity is building the infrastructure for it. And what we've done is we've broken it into small enough pieces. We've scaled it down into a way that is actually affordable for 100 to 200 homes to get access to electricity off of a single charging station. At this point, we have 1,400 homes that have electricity, and we're adding another 3,000 over the next 18 months. So we're definitely on to something, and our customer base, the popularity of our product far exceeds our ability to get them out fast enough. So it's a very exciting program, and I think the answer is if you break it down into small payments by a lot of people, you can make solar very affordable in this context.
Well, looking at this photograph here, this is some of these individual units that actually you charge through solar energy, and then they're distributed to people, so they're actually doing this on like a lease or a rent basis. So tell us the overall system, but I know it's more than actually just in providing power. You're actually providing green jobs in places where there's virtually no employment, as well as no energy.
The impacts of our program, it goes into employment, it goes into job training, skilled, unskilled labor. Then you've got the absolute life-changing aspect of putting electricity in place of kerosene. Our customers are kerosene, that's what they use instead. And we evaluated the price that we would charge per month based on what they were paying for kerosene. And we displaced kerosene and their long walks to cell phone charging by allowing them to have a portable battery pack that they bring back to a solar charging station. Once they've charged it up, they take it home and they have electricity for 3 to 7 days.
I think it's fantastic. Let's bring back this photograph. I think it's important to have this technology shown here. So if we can bring this back. Looking at these gentlemen standing here beside these rechargeable units, it's almost like taking your propane in for your propane cooker and exchanging it. They refill it. So looking at, you said, go back through that again now that we have the photograph here about the amount of days that it can be used, and also how would you actually use this in the home itself? What is this going to be powering?
All right, this kit comes with a lighting kit that goes with it that you cannot see in this photograph. That has 2 light bulbs and the wiring. So you would actually mount those in your house and plug them into the box, and you would be able to use lights that you just pull a chain and the light comes on. It's a miracle for our customers. They never thought that they would have electricity like that in their house. It also will power, it'll recharge a small hand tool. It'll charge cell phones, and that creates micro entrepreneur ability for our customers to make the money that we charge per month for the service through cell phone charging. They bring their kits back between 3 and 7 days. It just depends on how efficient they are with their energy, and that determines how long the equipment will last in a week.
Well, Melinda, looking at this, I know that through the day and night that you've been very involved with solar. It's spreading all over the United States, even overseas, and this relationship with Michelle is very, very important. Right. So from your perspective, we've seen some of your technology, some of it's large, you're using on large buildings. Right. Now all of a sudden we have something that you just carry home, almost like a very large, oversized lunch pail or something like that. Exactly. So how do you see this interaction of taking something, it could be large on rooftops and all that, and all of a sudden you have it in these small charging stations and then send it home with people?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you stated energy makes a large impact on the lives of the people that we put it in their home. And there's not an economic value that you cannot trace, whether it's medical, educational, resources that they can get from having energy in their home. Through our partnership, we also have partnerships with other nonprofits and other entities. Habitat for Humanity we work closely with. So this was a project that became near and dear to our heart. It is something that we truly believe that solar could fix a lot of these problems around the globe.
Yeah. Well, looking at this last photograph that we had up there, where you're actually doing the training, Michelle, looking at the work that you're doing, how many green jobs are you able to create, say, within a typical village, and then and how many people are affected by something, a process that we're looking at right here?
Well, right now we have 14 operating stations in Haiti. That means that there are probably, about 45 jobs from just operating the stations. And then we also have our management and our field technician in Haiti. So, I mean, I would say we've created 20 jobs and the ability for each customer to be making money as well. So it has a lot of spin-off effect.
Well, looking at this too is also we're transferring technology into villages that have very little or almost no technologies.
Right.
And I think that's something that's very important. So it's really a challenge to the teachers and training their students now that technology has arrived, and now let's see what we can do with it and really expand that. So looking at the various technologies that you're taking in to these villages, Michelle, what are the teachers or the adults giving you as feedback, the impact that it's having on their children or the students within the schools?
Well, the students are able to study. Obviously, the teachers, I have one teacher who has a laptop that he's able to recharge his laptop. I know that there are huge educational impacts. I would say that the social impacts that go along with them, people are becoming self-sufficient because they have access to energy. We've put one of these we put them at schools or orphanages, and they kick off revenue at the site they're on. So we're actually, not only are we providing energy, but the energy program is allowing teachers' salaries to be paid. So it really bolsters the place where it is put, as well as providing all of the life-changing aspects of having electricity.
So in essence, what you're doing, Michelle, because it really emphasis on the green jobs, and many females are able to go into that because many of your entrepreneurs in a country like Haiti are actually female-led. And so what you're doing is through your project, you're actually creating an emerging middle class, it seems like.
We are, and it's been very interesting. I mean, we have 10 customers on our waiting list for every one who has a kid. So it's extremely popular and a very exciting program.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. Looking, Melinda, and we're just about out of time. What do you see? And I'll give you 30 seconds, and then we'll come right back to you. Actually, I better ask you, Michelle. 15 seconds. What do you see for your organization next 5-10 years?
We have the ability to scale very, very rapidly. Every time we drop a station, we're lighting 100 to 200 homes immediately. So I see us being in more countries and more homes in more countries just as quickly as funding allows.
Well, fantastic. And Melinda, 15 seconds for you. What do you see as far as how you see Salona moving forward in the future?
Like Michelle said, really just expanding as quickly as funding and financial availability allows, but also partnering with the right partners for putting these into areas that it could make an extreme difference right away.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, ladies, for being with us and sharing about what's happening in Haiti and other countries around the globe. It's very impressive, establishing women entrepreneurs, bringing in energy, as together we create the Emerald Planet.
Art, a universal language, an expression of culture, of self. And now, thanks to Empowered Women International, a way for emerging and established immigrant and refugee artists and artisans to find hope to earn a living while enriching the lives of all of us. Empowered Women International, making a better America every day. For more information on Empowered Women International's educational programs or to make a tax-free donation, contact C. Fripp at AOL.com.
Here, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty.
You'd think it would be easy to tell which kids have trouble with their eyesight. But that's not always the case. Even though 1 in 4 children may have a vision problem, eye doctors tell us the symptoms aren't always so obvious. We do know that 80% of all childhood learning is visual. And without good vision, kids can have trouble learning to read. and may fall behind in school. For clues on how to spot the real-life signs of childhood vision problems and what parents can do, visit checkyearly.com. A public service message from the Vision Council of America and Reading is Fundamental.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C., looking around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices that are making a difference to change the lives of 2 billion new people who are going to be joining us on planet Earth. And so once we reach 9 billion, how we're going to be able to take care of all these people to provide the basic necessities, the water, the food, the energy that's going to take to sustain on a day-to-day basis, and at the same time to tie in the food, healthcare, and everything else that's going to be needed. And we have a gentleman that's going to be coming in as be talking about this. Thomas Flame, who is a professional engineer, CEO of Freshwater Systems. And I have right beside me Melinda Crenshaw, who is the Executive Marketing Representative for Day and Night Solar. And she's sitting here with me. And Tom's going to be coming in by Skype. Tom, are you there?
I sure am.
Okay, we're glad to see you. And we're going to get your logo up here in just a minute. So we'll have that, but I know that you've been doing a lot of traveling and you're taking Freshwater Systems around the globe. So tell us a little bit about what is Freshwater Systems?
Well, Freshwater Systems is a company that was developed from the very start to focus on a very narrow market need, which is emergency water for the developed world, and sustainable water for the developing world. So we're a organization that is focused on developing new technologies that will hopefully bring a lot of relief to people who are in need.
Well, looking at it, I know with the technologies, I want to bring up these the first slide, and if we can get your logo up here, and we're trying to get the logo. There we go. And that's a very attractive logo that you have, Tom. Looking at this is some of your technology. Tell us a little bit about this juxtaposition of the water burst, and then some of the technologies that you're actually have developed and using around the globe.
Well, certainly the water burst is actually just a picture of a water main break, which happens about 260,000 times a year just in the United States. Water main breaks are very, very common in the developed world. In the developing world, they're also common, but they lead to different consequences. One of the primary areas that we put our products is in areas that when a water main breaks, so when there's a tropical storm, when there's a tornado, or any type of natural disaster, if the water becomes unavailable at that facility, then we can bring our emergency water equipment in, and we back up the system so that the hospital or the military installation or whatever it might be doesn't have to shut down because of the water shortage, because of the unavailability of water.
Well, I know that you were first involved with the Hurricane Katrina, and then you've been involved with virtually every hurricane that's come to the shores of the United States since then. So what is so unique about your water system, and why is it so important that you're able to have this kind of following, where not only do you have taking it out to developing countries, but actually they want you to use it within the United States itself?
Well, we went to Katrina, was our first real deployment in the United States, and we learned an awful lot, and we were very blessed to be involved with the firefighters who were serving there. And we went down and distributed water, and a lot of the firefighters saw us pulling water straight from the sewers and drinking it ourselves and giving it to the victims in support of their needs. And they were taken by it. They thought it was a great idea. They loved to see the unit in action. And so from there, they helped us develop the specifications for larger volume units, very low power requirements, and things like that. So our history really does start with emergency management. But since then, we've done quite a bit of work in the developing world, and the needs are very, very different among the two. But there are a lot of differentiators, I think, in terms of technologies. There's an awful lot of technology out there that can clean water. Our technology represents a very high state of water purification, where we actually meet US EPA and Department of Defense protocols for water efficiency for clean water. But we do it in a mechanism that can run on solar power and take very, very little energy and very, very little water to produce that.
So looking at this chart here, tell us a little bit about this chart. And what I'm going to do, Tom, we'll go back and forth between the chart as you're talking about it and to this unit right here, because in many ways this really tells the whole story about you can take this very dirty water on the to our left, right of the screen, and you really do have a product at the very end that you can actually take out of that jar and drink it.
Yeah, absolutely. The water technology that we've developed really rests on a filter mechanism called zeonic filtration. And a zeonic filter was developed specifically for this application. And it takes out all the inorganic or organic contaminants within the water, including broad spectrum bacteria, not just the common bacteria like E. coli and such, but the full spectrum of bacteria. It'll reduce the viruses and protozoan cysts to levels that the EPA requires. This water that comes out of the system is actually better than bottled water in many cases, actually in most cases. But it's so it's a very high degree of quality, which is why we have about 650 hospitals in the United States rely on us for their water system. So when their public water system goes down, they just roll our units out and they put them in place, and they're able to keep going without shutting down or even canceling surgeries or anything like that.
Well, I think that's really important because I was in the country of Guyana some years ago and went into the area where they are actually supposedly sterilizing all the implements they're using for operations. And the wall was literally moving, and I couldn't figure out what is on this wall. It's moving, and actually it was a very nasty situation. So when you're talking about you need to have water in order to be able to sanitize, keep things pure, you really need to be able to do that. Going to this next photograph, this is quite impressive, the equipment. Tell us about the difference in the size and scale and how you would actually roll in somewhere once something happens as far as a hurricane, natural emergency, or just a breakdown in the local water system.
Well, what you're looking at there is one of our trailers, and we manufacture these trailers not to produce clean water, but actually to just transport our water purification packages. Because what we provide is actually as a total solution. It's not just a purification solution. So we actually provide distribution manifolds, sterile containers to put the clean water in, a mechanism to hold dirty water temporarily until you can clean it, spare filters and hoses and such. So those trailers are designed to pull all that together. And that's basically one of the ways to do it. The other way is all of our technology can be mounted on the side of a truck that can carry water, like a fire truck or any kind of construction vehicle, so that you can clean the water as it comes out of the tank and provide it to people and for victim support and such. So all the systems can run either permanently mounted on a wall in a vehicle. In our vehicles being transported, everything can reside everything has been designed to fit in the back of an SUV or a minivan or a pickup truck. So it's very, very portable technology. And really the key is the way we've developed the technology, which has been patented in the United States, is a filtration system that we discussed. Plus, we also are very unique in that we use a 40 megawatt UV reactor. So that's a very high strength of UV, and that's really a very strong residual redundant disinfectant in addition to the zeonic filter. So the zeonic filter is a primary disinfectant. The UV tube sits on that top in the picture you're looking at right now, and that's a second. And actually for a third redundancy and disinfection, we provide optional chlorination, so you can hook on a chlorinator very easily to this and just provide chlorine from any non-scented chlorine source like Clorox or anything like that. So it all works together to provide just a very, very portable mechanism that can be solar powered. It can run off car batteries. It can run off just about anything, but provide the same level of water purification you'd find in a municipal water system.
I think it's fantastic, Tom. Melinda Crenshaw, as you know, is sitting beside me in case we lose you by Skype. And the connection is solar power, of course.
Right.
And so since you're coming through loud and clear, we haven't lost you. Melinda, why don't you ask the next question?
Hi, Tom.
Hi
there. What type of applications do you see First Water products providing for a huge 1.45 billion amount of people without any water source or safe water?
Well, you know, it's a great question, and we struggle with it every day because we do an awful lot in the United States, but that represents such a small fraction of the real problem. And we do a lot of work in the developing world and even in just all over the world outside the U.S. with a lot of solar-powered systems, with systems that mount on walls and they'll go in villages. Our technology, you know, runs from 60 gallons per minute for a very small unit, which happens to be that picture of the unit on the left there, the left side of the picture you're looking at now, up to 1,200 gallons per hour, which is a significant amount of water. At 1,200 GPM, you're supporting things like hospitals and critical infrastructure. That can also be mounted, though, on the wall for a village, and that's what I was just doing the last 10 days. I was off the grid in the Dominican Republic, installing water systems in Haitian refugee camps down there that have very, very little power and very little water, but we're able to take what they've got and produce enough typically for villages of 3,000 to 4,000 people. So the smaller units are exceptional for small villages, and the large units for large villages. When you get down to the individual level, our technology really does not fit that very well. So when you're looking at individual families, or small clans and things like that around the developing world, our systems don't work well. We are coming out with products that will address that in the way of straws that will actually meet the Department of Defense standard, in the way of pills that you can simply drop a pill into a 500-gallon tank of water and disinfect it. So our scientists are working on a lot of technologies to help the rest of the world, and we think we're making some very significant progress on that.
Tom, we're going to be losing you probably in about 6 seconds. So I was we may have just a few seconds. What do you see for the future of First Water? And be quick.
Well, I think it's going to be great. The need is there. The technologies are really evolving very quickly, and we feel that we're at the forefront of it. So hopefully these new technologies will really make a major difference in the world.
Well, Tom Flame, who is the PE and CEO of First Water Systems, thank you for being with us and sharing about the water systems that you're using and installing all over the globe. And thank you for watching as we create the Emerald Planet.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. Wanted some matches and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try. Only you. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
Why don't you just wash your car at home?
When I wash my car, everything runs down the street and down into the storm drains. With all the chemicals in the soaps and waxes, the last thing I want to do is poison my own drinking water. At least here, it's all contained and recycled on site. That's why I also take my car in for oil changes instead of doing it myself. I might take a chance on spilling stuff. You know what the best part is?
What?
More time to kick back and watch the game.
How far would you go to protect the planet?
I want you to build an ark.
Here we go. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. Ow!
Maybe there's another way.
People, the flood is imminent. Is it too much to ask for a little precipitation?
Go to fightglobalwarming.com to find out what you and your community can do to reduce global warming pollution.
Somewhere around the world, there are men and women of the armed forces risking their lives, helping rebuild communities after natural disasters, collecting toys for needy children, tutoring kids in school. These are your sons and daughters who work to keep us safe, secure, and free. Dedicated men and women who put their country first.
I need a job.
Necesito trabajo.
I would like to speak English better.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome back to the Emerald Planet. I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President, Executive Director of both Emerald Planet and Emerald Planet TV, that comes to you on a weekly basis as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And of course, one of the things that's happening as a phenomenon of severe climate change is a drought. Drought is virtually every country on the planet is suffering from that. And then, of course, the other side of that is severe weather events where you have massive rains, heavy flooding, and so you have droughts in one time, and then we have heavy flooding in the other. And so how do we actually try to balance that out? A very old technology going back at least 6,000 years as far as recorded history and time is harvesting the rainwater. And so we have a gentleman who has a very unique company called Rain Catchers. This is Rick Walker, who is an agronomist, a senior developer and designer for what's called Rain Catchers. And then right beside me is Melanie Crenshaw, who is executive marketing representative of Day and Night Solar, and they are both connected by solar energy. And Rick, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thank you, Dr. Sam.
Glad to have you here, and I'm going to see if we can bring up your logo. I really like your logo. That's very nicely done. And powered by solar, we like that even better. But tell us about Rain Catchers. What is it?
Dr. Sam, Rain Catchers was developed back in 2006, 2007. We were going through a very severe extreme drought here in the Southeast. We were operating a fairly large lawn care company, and during that drought it was somewhat impossible to operate. So we had to come up with a way to provide moisture and be sustainable. So in short, that's how we began. We had to derive a way to come up with a system to collect rain, utilize rain both in an agricultural setting. Then from there, we've certainly taken it further to potable in homes and as a gray water application.
Well, looking at the system that you have here, I know that I was talking a little earlier about at least over 6,000 years, and it probably goes back even earlier than that. As far as harvesting the rain, as far as providing water for individuals and communities, whether it was the first farming communities or even hunters and gatherers. But you have a very unique and modern technology that you're using to go away from just the old cisterns where it came right off the roof and went into the ground, and maybe even the carbon filters on some of them. So what are we looking at here? What kind of technology is this, and how does this actually help us as far as not only catching the rain, but also to make sure it's good for human consumption?
Dr. Sam, what we did is we went after three entities when we decided to launch. We wanted to find containment in a sustainable way that was easy to install. The product that we use is manufactured from a post-consumed recycled plastic that allows a strong force. The system you see there, once encapsulated, you can actually drive over. So we took containment, and then we looked at filtration, and then we looked at pumping. Again, try to keep it simple, lightweight but effective, to where we could get into rural areas in far reaches.
Now, looking at the diagrams we have here, just walk us through how all this fits together. So it really is the design, installation, and then the use of the system. Just tell us about how all this works.
All right, again, we take the module, matrix module. We begin with 32 gallons. That's the smallest matrix. And we take it into thousands of gallons depending on the demand. One application is, you spoke earlier about the flash flooding. We're trying to curb erosion in many areas. So by controlling the erosion, we collect the rain, stopping it in certain areas. Encapsulated in a food grade membrane that allows it to be turned into a potable source. We filter it with UV, micron filtration, and then we solar pump.
Now, looking at this combination of what you're doing, catching the rain, and then using solar as far as powering that, what are we doing as far as helping to improve the environment, and what are many of the corollaries as far as solar, water harvesting, and then the long-term positive impact on the environment?
One of our main goals, our mission is certainly to educate. We want to educate the public, our children and the public, to be sustainable and utilize what is given to us. Many areas have ample rainfall, and I feel that if we start being conscious of what's given to us and being able to capture and reuse, that's just what we need to be doing. Water is one of our most valuable resources, so we need to utilize it better.
Now, looking at this, I know that you have these installations around the United States, but looking abroad, places like the Middle East, many countries in West Africa, and even in Southeast Asia, drought is becoming, just a commonplace situation. So how could these technologies be exported abroad and installed? And what do you see as far as the worldwide market for this different types of technologies that you're actually using in the United States?
Dr. Sam, let me give you an example. We're currently very involved in Haiti. We have been for a little over 4 years. Exporting the product. It's very easy. Again, it's lightweight. We can get 5,000 gallons worth of containment on a pallet and shipped. And again, training the locals. Part of our mission is to educate, train, and provide jobs to these outreach countries. So Haiti is an example. Also, we're working in Nicaragua, providing clean water sources, training in the agricultural sectors to provide a food security and provide jobs.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. As you know, Melinda Crenshaw is sitting beside me of Day and Night Solar. And since we've been able to keep you online through Skype and no problems, I'm going to let her ask the next question.
Hi, Rick. Hi there. How will rain catcher systems help meet not only the water demands, but for food production and education in local communities, regardless of urban or other locations?
What we have done with my background is in agricultural and soils. We've come up with a drip irrigation system through the solar. Food security is getting to be on the forefront through the local farming networks, and we're trying to expand that into local communities through rain harvesting, filtration, and solar pumping, where they may not have had the source to pump, or even the source to contain water.
Well, looking at this photograph here, I know you have some fairly large equipment that's being used. At the same time, you say these systems are modular, they're evidently lightweight, it can be moved around. So in a country like Haiti and then also Nicaragua, how many people would be involved in being trained in order to install these systems? And then what is the long-term impact as far as green jobs is concerned in that type of environment where you may be using more hand labor and less machines to do the installations?
Excellent question, Dr. Sam. I just returned from Haiti, where we provided a 10,000 gallon system to a school of 780 children. We put eight men to work for a week digging the containment site for 10,000 gallons. So that's an example. In about 3 weeks, I'll be doing the same thing in Nicaragua, providing a large system for a agricultural center and orphanage in Nicaragua. So again, we're creating jobs and knowledge.
Well, that's very important in these economies where there's, in many cases, little to no technology and also very little energy, if all. So bring in solar as well as the water. Those are really excellent companions to improve the quality of life in these areas. Going back to this slide we have, and we've just about run out of time, Rick, but just give us an idea what you see of the future for rain catchers, and how do you see this whole notion of harvesting rainwater is going to be proceeding over the next 5, 10, 15 years. And we have about 40 seconds to answer all that long question.
That's fine. Again, water is very critical from now till our children and grandchildren. We've got to be aware of the quality and the availability, and be able to provide our children the access to a clean water source to be sustainable.
Well, I think that's really words that we need to ponder and work towards, Rick, as we look around the globe and work together in all these things. And with the solar energy that you're using right here with Melinda Crenshaw, who's actually in the solar energy, and the two of you actually know each other. And so you may be working on these projects as we go around the globe. Thank you for being with us as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.